Welcome and welcome back to my channel Bumzy Beauty. If you are new to my channel, my name is Juliana and welcome to another mashup video. So for today's video, I am going to be using two of Mcgrath's palettes, the Celestial Odyssey palette as well as the Mothership 9 palette. I think since I bought this palette, I've probably used it once, and for the Celestial Odyssey I've used it twice, and that's just not good enough. So I'm trying to find ways of incorporating this palette into my look without reaching for other palette, because that's what usually puts me off from using them, because they're not that colorful with the matte. But for Mothership 9, it's quite colorful. Mothership 9 is got more than browns, especially this shade, so that's what I did use in the inner part of my lid today. So this one is quite inspiring to use in terms of the colors without looking at another palette. So those colors are actually what inspired me to pick up Mothership 9 to combine with Celestial Odyssey. So these two palettes are what I'm going to be using in today's look, and if you'd like to know how I created this look, then please keep on watching. Alright, my plan is to get my matte from the PMG 9 palette, because it seems to have more colorful mattes than the Celestial Odyssey palette. So I'm going to be using the shimmers in this palette and concentrate on the mattes in this one. So this is the Celestial Odyssey palette, and yeah, the mattes are beautiful. I think I'm going to be dipping into the greens and maybe use a little bit of these, but we'll see. I might have to dig into this brown, because it seems to be darker than the one in the Mothership 9 palette, but we'd have to see if I need that brown, but that is a plan for now. I don't know how dark this is it peach or orange? I don't know what it is, but I don't know how dark it's gonna be, but this is what I'm starting with. Alright, so starting from my crease, and I'm gonna bring it into my inner corner as well, and then I'm extending it to the outer corner, but not completely. I'm going to stop around here, because I want a brown on the outer corner. Alright, I'm going to start with this brown for my outer corner, and then remember, if it's not dark enough, I will dig into the Celestial Odyssey palette. I actually don't think it's brown. I think it looks like a dark mauve, but that's what's going in my outer corner right here. I'm also going to merge it with the peach I put in my crease earlier, just this one. I'm going to merge the two together without being muddy. I'm also taking it on my lower lid. Taking that same shade, I'm going to put it everywhere there is no shade at the moment, everywhere there's no shadow, so the lower part of my lid. And then I'm just buffing it right where my eyelid then bulges. So basically using that shade to contour my eyelid, and just dabbing to build up the intensity on my lid. I'm going to be putting shimmer over it anyway, but I just want this shade on my outer corner, whereas the peach stays on the inner part of my lid. Alright, gently defining my crease now with this shade as well, so I'm kind of laying it over the peach that was there before. So using this brown shade really to cut my crease, because it's going to be the guide for my shimmer later. So I'm just using it to kind of define my crease. I mean, I do still want the peach to be showing on the inner part of my lid anyway, but I also want to define this my crease with this brown, so that whatever shimmer I put on my lid pops more. I mean, you'll see when we get there anyway. So going in with a slightly fluffy brush, I'm going to kind of buff out the peach on my crease. I don't want to use a different color, which is what I'm doing this. I'm going to like blend it out, but not blend it out completely. I'm also taking it on top of the darker shade I use in my outer edge. Okay, going into that peach shade with a smaller brush, I'm going to put that in my inner tear duct, well, towards my inner corner, all the way on the inner part of my lower lid, and I'm going to blend it with the brown. In with a flat brush, I'm going to intensify the darker shade, the plum shade on my lower lid, and then back into the peach, just blending it together. Alright, for the matte on my inner corner, I'm going to go with this lighter, I want to say lighter pink, lighter peach shade. Oh, this one. I'm going to place that right in my tear duct. It doesn't make much of a difference to the peach, but I just want some sort of matte in there before I put my shimmer. Okay, and that's it for the matte. I'm going to catch up with this eye and I'll be right back for the shimmer application. Alright, just before I go into the shimmers, I'm going to go into this dark brown that I wasn't sure I was going to use initially. I'm going to use that to first of all darken the outer corner further. I'm just putting it right at the edge of my outer corner, so I'm not overriding the initial mauve that I have in the middle. This brown is just going on my outer corner. Basically, I just want more depth. So can you see the difference? This is quite darker than the previous shade I used, the one from Mothership 9. I'm keeping it right at the outer corner of my eyes. And to blend it out, I'm just kind of like stamping and moving my brush up and down, basically. So you don't have to do much, just by kind of like pulling it up and down, like that. It's just blending it right for me. Yeah, and that's about it for the matte. So the next thing is to cut my crease with my glitter primer, which is the BH Cosmetic Base Boost. I'm going to use that to cut my crease, and I'll be right back for us to apply the shimmer. Okay, for my lower lid, I'm going to use two shimmers. So that one, that shade there, that dark peach, and this lighter, I want to say peach pink. But I'm going to first start with this. So I'm using like a liner kind of brush, and I'm going to lay the darker peach on the outer part. So I'm avoiding the inner part of my lid. That's why I'm going to put the lighter peach. And then now going into that lighter peach, I'm going to put that right in my inner corner, but just on my lower lid. And then just blending those two shades into each other. And then for the upper lid, I'm going to go into this green first of all for the inner part, and then I'm going to go into the darker for the, I want to say the middle, because at the edge I'm going to use a brown one to try and merge it into the matte. But let's just take it step by step. So this green first. So this green is slightly dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a mixing medium. So I'm going to drop a mixing medium on the back of my hand and kind of use it to wet the shimmer to make it more metallic. I mean, you can use any mixing medium you have. This is just the first one that I kind of touched. I have quite a few mixing medium, but Essence seems to be the best so far that I've used. So touching my brush after I've picked up that shade, touching it to the mixing medium, and I'm then gonna apply it on my eyes just to get some sort of, to make it easier to blend in. And I'm also going to kind of use it to cut my crease. So I'm kind of applying it, but applying pressure on the brush and digging into my crease. So literally just following the shape of my eyes. Because I've got hooded eye, if I want to see my shimmer when I kind of like lower my eyes or close my eyes, I've got to pull my shimmer up. Right now that I've defined it with a brush, I'm going to go with my finger and I'm going to press onto my lid just to make sure that my glue dries. Because if your glue is still wet when you open and close your eyes, your eyeshadow is likely to crack more. So it's best to press it in. Even if you have long nails, just press down, make sure that the glitter glue is completely dry before you finish your eye look, otherwise it will crack later. Okay, so with this pattern now, it's completely dry. Alright, now going into that darker green, I'm going to put that on the outer part of my lid, just to give it some sort of I want to say dimension as well with the shimmer. So going back to the green, just merge it over the darker green. Right, just to have some sort of correlation to my matte, I'm going to go with this brown shimmer, and I'm just going to slightly dab it on the edge of my lid, right on top of that brown. Because I'm using two completely different shades, I mean green and brown, it's not really going to go well. So I'm laying this brown down, and what I'm going to do is put back the matte. Going back to that darker brown, I'm just going to go over that shimmer. So it's going to look better on the eyes than me laying the brown on the green. And then just going back into that green to make sure that the brown hasn't taken over. And then finally going to the matte for my lower lid. I'm going to tight line my lid. So basically putting that darkest shade on the top of my lid, just like that. Okay, for my inner corner, I kind of feel like I want the inner corner to pop more, so I might put a bit of yellow or gold in the inner corner. I think I'm going to go for a little bit of this. I don't know what it's going to look like. Kind of, let me just swatch it. Yeah, I think I'm going to use a little bit of pop of that right in my inner tear duct. Yeah, so going into the yellow, I'm just going to kind of like put it right in my inner tear duct, just right there. And then just kind of like pull it on the edge of that cut crease for extra definition. So what it's done is just brighten that green just a little bit. Yeah, I think it looks better like that. Yeah, I think it does give it a little bit of a pop with the extra yellow. Alright, that's it for the eyeshadow application. I'm going to finish up my look and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back for the completed look. So to finish up my look, I use Glamlite Eyeliner for the dark liner. I didn't take it to the edge, I kind of stopped it right there. But I used Glamlite Eyeliner. I also used Mcgrath Dark Mascara. And for my waterline, I actually used a mixture of two P. Louise paints. So for the front part of my lid, I used Limelight, and this is the shade. Yeah, so it's like a very light green. Yeah, as the name says, Limelight. And then for the outer part of my waterline, I used the shade called Sweet and Sour. So if you have watery eyes, these are excellent because they stay in place, they don't come off. Even if you have watery eyes and they kind of water, it won't completely fade away, and you can top it up as much as you want as well. So these are really good, and they come in different shades. These are the liners I tend to use for my waterline these days. They're just very efficient, so I stick to them. Yeah, you might want to try them out if you've got watery eyes. And this is the completed look up close. Okay, as I always do with my mashup videos, let's go over the shades I use. For my mattes today, I use 3 mattes from this palette, from the Mothership 9 palette. I didn't use any of the shimmers. So I used this brown shade here, this peach orange one in the middle, and I used this shade for the innermost part of my lid before I lay down my shimmer. So those are the 3 shades I used from the Mothership 9 palette. Alright, from the Celestia Odyssey palette, I used 6 shimmers and 1 matte. So I used this brown matte right here to darken the outer edge. Then I used this shimmer here right in the middle for the innermost part, like my inner tear duct. And then used this next to that on the lower lid, as well as that brown for the outer edge. And on my main lid, I used this green. This green is the one on the most part of my lid, and this is the one I used in the middle to match the green, the light green and the brown together. So I know it's a lot, but that's the only way I'm ever gonna get to use as many shades from my palette as possible. If you want to recreate this look, you can just stick to this green shimmer and then the matte. You don't really have to do all the in-betweens that I did. You can literally just slap it on the main lid and darken the outer edge, and that should be enough. But that's just how I do my looks. I use as many shimmers as I can get away with. Yeah, so those are all the shades that I used them in today's look. I hope I've been able to inspire you to use your PMG palette more, because we've got loads of them that, well, for me, for example, I tend not to reach for them at all these days. So I'm trying to get myself back into using more of our palettes because they cost a lot. They are not that cheap at all. So I just have to use them. I'm looking for ways to use them more and more. So I hope I've been able to inspire you today on how to create looks sticking with the palette without reaching for another palette. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me and you've enjoyed this look. If you have enjoyed this video, please like it, share it and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I'll see you.